Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Donald Clark. It's good to be back. Listen, if there's a problem with the sound, let me know, okay? Because we've been having some issues with sound lately. And last week it was okay. I think there was a little bit of crackling, but it wasn't bad. But if there is some issues with sound, just let me know. So here we are, upstate New York. We're finally getting some winter. And if you haven't seen on the news, man, is Buffalo getting pounded with snow. I think they're up to 3 feet of snow now. And thoughts and prayers are with all the patients that have to go through Buffalo to get home, be it Michigan or Ohio somewhere. And they're doing it. They're doing it. We're giving them extra water and some snacks, and they're on their way. So if you're coming this way, check the weather, because I do know that the highway is closed. The New York State Thruway is closed for a bunch of exits out of Buffalo and going into Buffalo. And I also know that the side roads are also restricted as well. So thinking you can just kind of skirt around it is probably not a good idea, because it's, you can do it and you'll get home safely. But you're going to get stuck in some spots if it's restricted, then you'll have to backtrack. So make sure you plan your routes accordingly. So here we are, and north of us too. If you're coming in from Montreal or even Toronto, Buffalo, but if you're coming in from Montreal north of us, the Watertown area is also picking up substantial amounts of snow. And again, there's road closures and highway closures. So plan your routes accordingly. So today we're going to talk a little bit about wind invasion. And for those of you that have followed me or watched some of my Facebook Live videos in the past, I have spoken about wind. And wind can, in Chinese medicine, wind is invasive. So you need to be careful of wind. And there's certain times when you need to be careful more than others. But wind can get inside of you. It's like water, and it can get inside your orifices, and it can create havoc in your body. And so this time of year, I know in upstate New York, we're having real problems with children and RSV, which is a respiratory virus. And so you need to be careful, right? And so a lot of the hospitals are full of sick kids right now. And so going on the defense now and making sure you keep your immune systems high and keep your kids healthy is really going to pay off dividends in the end, right? As we move through winter. But this is the time of wind, right? Spring and winter. We just get hammered with it. And wind, is a fun thing, if you fly kites or listen to wind chimes or go to sound gardens, it's fun. But it can get inside of you if you're not careful. Even if it's a beautiful, sunny, warm summer, spring day, you can get wind inside of you. So there's two areas on the body in which wind can get into you the easiest. Those are called the wind gates in Chinese medicine. And the first one is the top of the neck, right? And the second one is the lower back. Those are the wind gates. I'm just going to jot something down real quick. Those are the wind gates. Now, the best way to safeguard yourself this time of year or spring from wind is by keeping your wind gates covered. So a lot of people wear scarves. There's a reason for that. It keeps your wind gate, covered up, or a high collar, or don't be afraid to pop that collar at this time of year. So what it does is it takes the wind and it diverts it away from your neck and your wind gate. Another way to do it in your lower back is to tie a scarf around your lower back. So in the winter, when it's really cold, most winter jackets are longer, right? They come down onto your hips, or even a little lower onto your legs or thighs. And so the idea is, why? Keep wind out, right? Because it's just cold and it's just whipping. So another layer you can add to that is take a scarf and tie it around your lower back, around your sacrum area, your lower back. That's another wind gate. and then put your jacket on and go about your day. So scarf high, scarf low, and that's going to that's going to protect your wind gates. But wind can get into any kind of orifice. Strong wind, right? It's like water. It can move. So it can get into your ears, it can get into your eyes, it can get into your nose, it can even get into your mouth if you really have to. And you don't want that wind inside of you because it just moves through your body. Some of the first symptoms of a wind invasion are a stiff neck, right? A headache. Those are all symptoms of that wind has gotten inside your body. Now, if you're outside and it's super windy and really cold, or if it's in the spring, it's super windy and really cold, or even in the summer, it's super duper windy, like you're on a boat or you're on a mountaintop, some of the first signs of wind invasion are stiff neck, headache, and twitching of the eye. So if you've ever had an eye that kind of twitches a little bit, you can feel it twitching. It's because there's wind inside of you, and it's just a warning. It's like a dashboard warning light. And so, in Chinese medicine, some of the most basic conditions are associated with wind heat, and wind cold. Wind heat invasions are so common in our society, and those amount to common colds, right? That's a wind heat invasion with a fever or a viral infection. Wind heat invasion. Those are what those are your common colds and your flus. So that's what we deal with all the time. And so what happens is when we have a wind heat exposure or a wind pathogen exposure and it gets inside of us, it leads to other problems. So, it automatically will lead to stuffy nose or mucus buildup. And when that happens, it's a cascading effect. Now you're going to have problems with sinuses or sinus infections. So, and that in itself can just cause so much mucus buildup in your head that now you have ear infections. This is especially true with children. So, and it all comes from a wind invasion. So making sure you have your little ones or even yourself, ears, hat, earmuffs. People wear earmuffs anymore, but hats, and keep your ears covered, keep your head covered, keep your neck covered. And that's going to keep the wind out. So we can be exposed to, different pathogens along the way, different viruses along the way. But if our immune systems are up to speed, then, it's much more, you can deal with it a little bit better than you could have, say, if you were a weakened immune function. So keeping yourself protected is, a little bubble around yourself is the best thing to do. But if we're sick and we're just constantly, you see this in schools, kids just constantly give it back one to another. You even see it in families. People just keep giving it to family members in the house, because your immune system's weakened, and it just you keep getting exposed. So, obviously, you want to do the simple things. Prevent common cold and flu. Wash your hands, right? Try to stay away from the exposure. But at the same time, you want to protect yourself from the wind. Now, if you find that you have a wind invasion, sorry, I'm looking at my cheat sheets here. If you find that you have a wind invasion, which is common, there's certain ways to treat it, right? And some of the best and most effective ways to treat common cold and wind invasion is sweating it out, right? You've often heard, I was sick, I had the flu, I drank orange juice and it was under 100 blankets and I sweat it out of me. There is actually some merit to that. So if you have a wind invasion, some of the best ways to do it is by taking a really hot shower, or a really hot bath, or even a sauna, or even a jacuzzi for that matter. What that does is it creates a lot of heat in your body, and it opens up your pores, and the heat is trying to escape your body at such a rapid rate. You're sweating, you're getting the heat out, but in the process, it's pushing the wind out of your body. And that's the the best way. If you get really, really cold, what do you want to do? You want to take a hot shower or a hot bath. You have a sore neck, headache, hot shower. And so you want it. Those are some of the easiest ways to treat wind. And all of that being said is, when you're treating wind with heat, shower, tub, sauna, jacuzzi, can't do that if you're pregnant. And you can't do it if you're trying to get pregnant, if you're building follicles. So if you're trying to get pregnant, building follicles, and you're already pregnant, you can't use heat. You can take a hot shower, don't get me wrong, but you can't take the tubbies or the jacuzzis or the hot saunas. But you can take a hot shower. That is safe, and that can help sweat it out. So does wind affect fertility? No. This dealing with wind, like we just talked about, can affect your fertility. That's why you stay away from heat. Hot showers are okay, but no saunas or heating pads, no hot tubs. All those extreme heats on the bodies can affect your fertility, but wind essentially will not affect your fertility, other than making you miserable because you're sick with common cold or flu. So you don't have to worry about that. But ideally, you don't want that to happen. And and then treating wind other than with heat. You can do, in Chinese medicine, we do cupping. So we'll put glass jars on the back, and we'll run it up and down your back and along your rib cage, and it just pulls the heat and the wind out of your body. We'll suck it out of your wing gates, and at the same time, we'll be doing acupuncture to move the wind, move it. So we're moving it with needles, and we're sucking it out with special cupping technique. Or you can use a scraping technique with a special spoon that creates the wind, brings it to the surface and pulls it out. Super effective. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but it's very effective in treating common cold and flu and reducing fever and getting, obviously the symptoms associated with the wind, neck pain, eye twitching, whatnot. Obviously, you want to create a good environment in your house, right? Keep those humidifiers pumping out that moist air, and don't get dry, right? Don't get dry. And so, keep that environment good. Soak some towels, especially if you have wood heat, a wood stove or a fireplace. Super drying, right? Soak some towels. Hang a towel on a rack or 2 towels, or put a wet towel in your room at night, and that moisture just goes into the environment and keeps you nice and moist. Hang laundry. Hang laundry in your house somewhere. That'll do it. And so you want to keep the environment, not friendly to viruses, right? On a side note, if you have high blood pressure, and high blood pressure can lead to so many problems, and stroke being one of them. So if you have high blood pressure or heart conditions, you really want to stay out of the wind, because wind can trigger some things, especially for people that are predisposition to wind problems, such as high blood pressure and stroke. So let me rephrase that. Wind isn't the cause of high blood pressure, but if you have high blood pressure and you have a wind invasion, it can lead to stroke, especially if you're right on the edge. Another wind pathogen consequence is Bell's palsy, right? So if you have wind, no one really understands Bell's palsy, but from a Chinese medicine perspective, Bell's palsy is caused by wind. And so if you have wind running around your body, it can cause problems. And if you have high blood pressure and you have a wind invasion, definitely stay away from the wind. And so keep that in mind. Does cupping get rid of inflammation? Cupping can get rid of inflammation if it's on the surface, such as muscular. So if you have muscular inflammation, knotting, tension, mostly knots, cupping is great at getting rid of muscle inflammation. that's on the surface. But if you have internal inflammation, that's a different story. That's more of a meat-based diet that's going to shrink the inflammation from the inside out. And acupuncture can help move the blood and the inflammation out as well. How would you know if you have inflammation? That's the question. You would know if you have inflammation by certain conditions that you might have. And, depending on what some of your symptoms are, can determine whether or not you have inflammation and the best ways to treat that inflammation. But again, going back to a carno diet, a meat-based diet, that's going to eliminate so much inflammation out of your body. And we are what we eat, right? And sugar and carbs are just, it's true, they're just going to end our lives a little sooner. We'll still have full lives, but how we move through those lives kind of determines it all. And if you're sick, 10% more or 50% more than you would be if you were on a different diet, that's huge, right? That can add years to your life. And so keep that in mind. So as far as, how does cupping get rid of inflammation? It does on the surface and muscularly speaking. And, how would you know if you have inflammation? That's truly a question only you can answer. Or, you'd have to, give me a little bit more information on symptoms that you may have. Call me. Set up a consultation on Wednesday. I'm available for consultations on Wednesday. I'd love to talk to you. You can ask me a million questions, and I'll answer them for you. So yeah, simple treatments. Heat therapy is the best one. Soaking in tubs, hot showers, but not if you're pregnant. Showers are okay, but no tubs. And if you don't have any symptoms of inflammation, then good. That's good. Keep going strong. Try to move into a majority meat-based diet, and that's going to ensure that you don't have any symptoms moving forward. Thank you. Please be safe out there. Weather's really kicking up, and it's really starting to get super bad around. And so be careful out there. Stay warm. Try not to get exposed to the wind as much as possible. And yeah, well, you may have, I see, failed implantations, and yeah, you may have some inflammation. That's very possible. Probably is the case. So that's where the diet restrictions come into place, and really focus on that. So when it comes to cupping and inflammation, it's great for surface stuff. But if you want to treat your internal inflammation, then yes, then it's don't worry about asking me questions. That's why I'm here. Questions. If you're having internal inflammation, then that's something that you treat. If you were to come see me, I would look at your tongue and feel your pulse, and I would assess where the inflammation is in your body by how you present. It's kind of hard to kind of say over this forum. So I do encourage you to call me, and we can set up a consultation. I could tuck my ear off. But yeah, if you're having failed implantations and you're having inflammation, then treating that is essential. And the thing is that inflammation, it goes away pretty rapidly if you make some changes. So, I encourage you to read Dr. Kiltz's book on inflammation, and that'll give you a head start. But then please call me, and we'll chit chat about that. All right, you guys, be safe. Happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy yourselves. It's okay to splurge a little bit on Thanksgiving, although it'll set you back a little bit physically, but you're with family, and you're with friends, and have fun, safe travels, take care. Shelly, I will talk to you real soon, Wednesday, or just call me, or email me. and we'll get our conversation going. Okay, you guys, take care. Thank you.